Hello everyone, my name is Logan Nixon, and for my film analysis today, I went over the movie Lore, or Lore, depends on how you pronounce it. This movie is a movie about a group of German children that are abandoned after their Nazi parents are arrested near the end of the conflict in World War II in Europe. So the children are left without parents, and their oldest sister has to try and get them across the German countryside to where their grandmother lives on the coast. So eventually they meet up with a Jewish survivor of the Holocaust who helps them travel, and that ends up being a very difficult situation for previously Nazi children to be in, as you might expect. So just in keeping with that, here is a sprout link for the U.S. Holocaust Museum. There's a lot of great information in here about the Holocaust and kind of some background prior to the movie and the sins that were committed. We'll get to that later. So it was directed by Kate Shortland. It was very, very, very well done. This is a great movie. Very dark tones, but ultimately very well done. And the dark tones are on purpose. They're meant to signify that the children feel the weight of the sins of their parents. So that's kind of a tone that is immediately set, is that the parents have done terrible things, and what are the children going to do about it? So they are shown to be pure and clean in the beginning, as children generally are. And in their travels, of course, they get dirty, beaten, and battered, but that directly parallels their emotional states, and that they learn about weights of things that have happened to their people and by their people, and they are made to carry that all the way to the coast. So very well done by the Stephanie Baker here. She did the costume design and played it very well, very, very well. Here's a group of the children, and then the Jewish teenager in the background that they meet up with, Thomas, and this is Lore herself. So some major themes. We've got hatred, which is a fairly common Nazi movie trope. Is hatred. Obviously, they hated the Jewish people, but an interesting thing that Lore does is it takes that hatred and shifts it away from the Germans onto the Jewish, and instead it is the German children onto their parents. It also talks about blind hatred. There's the only real outcome of blind hatred is pain for everyone. There's no good outcome. So the movie does a good job of describing that. Another major theme, probably the most aptly represented, is family. This is a movie about a family, or a broken one, after the parents leave, and it does an interesting job of showing how the main character Lore becomes the surrogate mother to her siblings. They're all younger than her, and they're all looking up to her, and it is her responsibility to take care of them. And of course she cannot do it alone. That's a huge responsibility for a girl who is actually 15 years old in the movie. So she ends up needing help from Thomas, who is a Jewish teenager, and that is a painful mountain to cross, and learn that the thing that her parents taught her to hate, and that she does hate and has internalized for so often, is the only thing that can help her in this situation. So going forward, these two, Lore and Thomas. Another thing that I noticed that is not really talked about in the movie, but is featured prominently in the visuals, is Christianity. There are several scenes that denote a crucifix, which I guess was seen as being against Judaism, because it's Judaism plus Christ. So being a Christian means you are not Jewish. And then there are aspects of it, of baptism and sin, that are heavily, heavily prevalent. I noticed those. Brokenness is another big, big theme of the film. the characters are slowly broken as they travel and learning about the things that have happened and what their parents have done breaks them, especially Laura. She becomes so heavily broken by the end of the film that the only thing that remains intact is her childish natures, because, like I said, she's 15. And those traits are no longer useful to her. The world considers her an adult. I mean, she's been a mother for months, a surrogate mother. And so that one aspect that remains unbroken is no longer helpful to her. And she will have to carry that for the rest of her life, knowing that she now has to perform at the level of an adult when all she feels inside is broken. And this movie has lots of relevancy today. It is quite obvious if you read the news that Nazism is still alive and well in the modern world, which I find baffling, especially if you watch this movie. The pain of someone who was even tangentially involved in the Nazi movement as a child to someone who was a Nazi can find so much pain in the sins that are committed by her parents. And yet people choose to involve themselves in it nowadays that it's quite crazy. But got a quote here from a senator talking about anti-Semitism in the world today. This is a group or a page talking about the neo-Nazi movement and its relationship to modern practices, and then this was a PBS video that was produced about neo-Nazism in America. So I hope this helped to look over my page, and I guess if you have any other questions, you can shoot me an email, but thank you very much for your time.